Hi, Esther and Jerry. Thank you for having me, and thank you for coming down to LA. We love having you over here. I came down here because I am a screenwriter. Well, I've been training, and I went to school to become a screenwriter, and now I'm here. And working in the entertainment business, you'll find a lot of people who are not in their vortex. And so I have to focus really hard to stay on the vortex. In fact, I just came back from a 3-hour meeting just down the street in Universal, and I met some of the titans of screenwriting, and they've written many, many Hollywood blockbusters, and a lot of them seem really out of the vortex all the time. They talk about their experiences on their daily experiences, and a lot of them just seem like as if, they just don't want to be there and they can't get out. And like, that's just my personal perception, and it makes me not want to get into this business.
Well, can you see them as you're now making an effort to get back into the vortex after what you've noticed? Can you see that they're like everyone else? They're in the vortex sometimes and not in the vortex sometimes. Mm-hmm. And we want you to understand that when things are really clicking for them, when there is synergy happening, mm-hmm. they are in the vortex. They are a cooperative component. But when they're standing not in the vortex, in other words, in the same way that our friend said just now, when I'm in the vortex and I think about some of the out of the vortex stuff that was going on, it looks humorous to me. Mm-hmm. In the same way, when they're standing out of the vortex, they can't even see what was going on when they were in the vortex. In other words, where you are has everything to do with what you're seeing. Right. So you can't compare the experience that you're going to have with the experience that anybody else had, because you don't know, and they can't tell you whether they were in the vortex or not. If you were to say to them, if you were to have a conversation with someone who's really, 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 you should have talked to Esther on book launch day. It was really an interesting thing. She got herself so in the vortex that she was able to receive through us the most life-changing body of work that has ever come in a short period of time. This is where it is at. In other words, what's on this CD and the text that is written, every word of it is brilliant, aligned context. Every word of it.
Yeah.
It's called Getting Into the Vortex Guided Meditation CD. Yeah. On book launch day, Jerry and Esther could not find a book in any bookstore anywhere. It was sold out. The scanty number of books that their publisher managed to get into the hands of the book dealers lasted 2 hours on book launch day morning.
Wow, that's really good.
So what we're saying to you is, Esther had to be in the vortex to be revealed this incredible masterpiece.
Yeah.
Book launch day, nowhere near the vortex was Esther.
Yeah.
If you had met her on book launch day, very funny thing. Jerry and Esther were going all over San Antonio. They happened to be there. Mm. And they went to a bookstore. They went to every bookstore within 50 miles radius of where they were. Right. And got ornerier and ornerier as the day went on. Some of the books were in the back, not unpacked. Some of the books had not even been ordered. None of the books were where they were supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And one of their grandchildren came running up to Esther in a bookstore in a funny part of the city. She had no idea that they were there. And then her daughter came up. And when her daughter saw Esther's face, she took her by the hand and dragged her behind the bookshelves and said, "Mom, you've got to get that look off your face. Someone's going to see you. Someone's going to see you." Because the irony of having written a book about being in the vortex and then focusing on events that ripped you out. In other words, whether somebody's in the vortex or not is irrelevant to you. Right. Don't run around and try to take the pulse of people. If you'd met Esther on that day, you would never have read that book. You'd have said anyone that is that out of the vortex could not possibly have written anything that is any good.
Right.
And we want to say to you, it's really good.
Yeah,
she was
I
in
agree.
the vortex when she wrote it. But
Yeah.
just because she was at one time in the vortex doesn't mean that she's always going to be in the vortex. She's like the rest of you. She's working on it. When something really, really matters, the more something matters, the more you put there, then the more the absence of it bothers you. But it was a wonderful experience for her, all in all, because she came after 3 days of suffering mightily as things just got worse and worse with the book launch. She came to an epiphany. The epiphany that you all came to just a few minutes ago. That the feeling is the only thing that matters. That's what you want to focus on. In other words, she couldn't control how many books Barnes and Nobles bought. She couldn't control what Amazon was doing with books. She couldn't control how many books the publisher printed or how well they distributed them. She couldn't control the readiness of the launch. All she could control was her reception in receiving it. And now all she can control is the way she feels about this or any other subject. And so you know what she did about this? She said, later, Gator.
Yeah.
Later Gator.
Later Gator does work. I tried that today when I got back, and it certainly works.
And so did you hear this powerful message that we're giving to you? In other words, there are all kinds of people that can be of tremendous value to you, provided they are in the vortex when you are rendezvousing with them. And when they are not in the vortex, then they're of no value to you. But your attention to them must not really be upon them. It's just upon whether you are in the vortex or not. And if you give your undivided attention to whether you're in, you'll only rendezvous with others who are also in, you see. You can't rendezvous with titans in the industry who are out of the vortex when you're in the vortex. The meeting would come at another time, or most of them would not show up, and the one who would show up would be in the vortex. Law of attraction is always very efficient about these meetings that it organizes.
Okay. But one more thing, when it comes to the material that we're writing, like, that looks like a lot of fun to write that material. But when you have to write things like in Hollywood, there's a specific, they sell, the entertainment of fear and a lot of the emotions that go with that. And as a writer, sometimes when we dive into that really deeply, we get up off our chairs and we have to work hard to do the later Gator thing because we see it come into our experience. So I'm going towards my genre now, which is action sci-fi and no longer the psychological thrillers.
Before you go there, we just want to put something in there that's why so many of those people weren't in the vortex when you ran into them. In other words, they're sacrificing their alignment for the pleasing of others.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I don't want to do that.
So I don't want to do that. What is it I do want?
I want to make good movies, but I want to feel good when I do them.
All right. So isn't that a wonderful conclusion to come to? And does anyone else have control over that? In other words, do you have to walk in the shoes of the way everyone else is doing it, or can you go about it in a different way? In other words, you know why they make those movies? Because they have done the polls and they have discovered, our friend was saying to us today that more and more people are coming onto the leading edge and more people are getting into the vortex. And those like you, they're all born in the vortex. More of them are staying in the vortex. Mm-hmm. Those like you are getting into the vortex. In other words, the audience is shifting. But it's a big world. It's a big enough world that there is an audience for anything that you want to produce. And what they're often doing is taking the polls, and whether they're using the vernacular that we're using here about the vortex or not, and they're not, is that they have discovered that if they appeal to the outside the vortex characteristics of people, more of them are going to find the movie. In other words, that's logical, isn't it? Would you say that there are more people out of the vortex than in? Mm-hmm. And haven't we talked about that already today? That if you're not in the vortex and someone is, they're just annoying to you. Mm-hmm. So if you make a really good feeling movie, people who aren't feeling good won't come. But you know, there's a whole range of people who maybe aren't feeling good but want to. Make your movie for the hopefuls. That's what we would do. If we were a screenwriter, we would, or a producer, we would make our movies for the hopefuls. Go as low as the hopefuls, but no lower. Don't go for the frustrated. Don't go for the angry. Don't go for the fearful, and don't go for the depressed. In other words, let them go to the movies that are out there. There are plenty of them. Make your movies for the hopefuls, and what will happen? As you are determined to stay into the vortex, and and are inspired from that alignment, all kinds of wonderful things will occur to you, and all kinds of people will come to play with you at all levels, at making it. There's a whole industry out there who is wanting what you want, and you are in the process of finding one another, you see. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It is delicious to come together with those like you who are willing to play with us at this leading edge capacity. It takes a lot of willingness to focus in the way that you all did today. In other words, lots of really good conversations and a tremendous amount of energy movement with subjects that were interesting but required focus in order to hold your interest. We can feel the determination that you hold about figuring this out. You wouldn't be here if you weren't wanting to exercise some control of your own creation of you. You are the creator, but you're also the creation. And so, together, because of the intensity of that which you are, and your willingness to stay focused with us, we have together taken this subject of creation to another place of understanding. It is our desire that as you contemplate what went on here, that you take away from it a sort of singular, simple, clean, pure feeling. And the feeling revolves around your deep understanding that good things are supposed to happen to you, that things are working out for you, that your vortex is pregnant with all of the things that you've put there, and that there is far less work for you to do than you have formerly been assigning to yourself. We have all been making way more of deliberate creation than deliberate creation requires. Our favorite conversation is with our Colombian friend, who brings to the forefront the startling comparison of knowing what he wants and knowing how he feels and knowing how he wants to feel, and his awareness of what his parents are seeing. And then ending with this conversation about knowing what you want and knowing how you want to feel in an industry that seems to be pointed in an entirely different direction. And it brings us around to this powerful way of saying that when you make your relationship with your vortex of paramount importance, and therefore make everything else of much, 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 much less importance, you gain a leverage that will bring to you clarity and awareness and good feeling emotions, and right on the heels of that, manifestational evidence of the alignment that you've accomplished. In other words, today, whether you know it or not, you've taken a huge shortcut in the manifestation of all kinds of things, and an immediate shortcut right to a path of joyful fulfillment. In other words, you can be joyously happy as soon as right now as a result of what you've come to know. But it's going to take some practice. And there's all kinds of people out there that are living in all kinds of different stages of living, who are feeling all kinds of different emotions and have all kinds of different opinions about all kinds of different things. And it is our powerful desire. It is something that we ask of you with an intensity that we have not asked before, because we have never interacted with an audience that was at the place that you now are before. We're asking you to let them, just for a little while, all of them, be irrelevant to you. And it is our promise to you that as you use words like irrelevant, as you use words like later date, or as you use words like not now, as you use words like this too shall pass, or this can wait, as you deactivate this clinging relationship that you have allowed and created with so many of them, it is our promise to you that your vortex will take you in with such swiftness that you will be certain that you are now reborn. You will be certain that the energy that creates worlds has now infused you, and you will feel the magic of your creation. You will feel as if anything that you turn your attention to will come into clarity and relevance for you, and the entire universe will back up that understanding that is yours.